hmm I'm just wanting to make sure the Global 500, yes, happens to have approximately $28 trillion in revenue. Yes. Mhm. Amazon, oops. Number 26, Jeff Bezos, oops. Google and Alphabet. Did somebody in the community dislike what I had to say yesterday? Apple, how is Tim? Cook, ooch. As a father of five sons, I'm absolutely sure that there are some large corporations that have been paying to obstruct my rights as a citizen. And as much as local law enforcement refuses to acknowledge the actual enforcement of the laws, they seem to believe that just because they issue a court order, that they don't have to have a court record. They don't have to believe. I just wanted to make sure that Jeff and Eric Schmidt, Larry Page, yes, Sergey Brin, and each and every CEO, CFO, CIO, CTO, and all the C's and why don't you get me all the C-level employees of the Global 500? I'd like to know the last 40 years. Oh. Now, a lot of those in upper level management, yes, that have a C in their title, yes, they think that there is no real loss. Oh. One investigation led to order Apple to pay more than $13 billion in back taxes. Just political crap, wasn't it? Tim Cook. I do remember Steve Jobs, and I remember when he died. Ouch, it was a very sad thing that happened. Yes. But somebody was playing with a whole lot of broadband, weren't they? Yes. Big toe, Tim. Hmm. Now, these C-level employees of every corporation, the 500 largest of them, yes, there's been a lot of electricity problems. I'm sure that. Now, Moynihan's at Bank of America. Are you one of the 500 largest? You still got 25% of the mortgages. Now, I want you to know that I'm having to sit on some of these lawsuits. Walmart, yes. IBM, Microsoft, But for every time I find out that any corporation contributed to the obstruction of my rights as a father, I'm going to be a lot more forceful in my belief that corporations will not interfere in the parenting rights of citizens. Now, give me the last 40 years of C-level employees of the 500 largest global corporations. Now, when I got here from Guam, we had a little electricity problem. Oh. And then there was a New York mayor named Michael Bloomberg that had $65 billion in assets. I remember when I was at my grandmother's house and I said, well, I'm going to bankrupt Bloomberg. Now, I know you live in New York City and you're thinking, well, I'm just tougher than Paul is. But I'm going to get my sons and then I'm going to ask them some very direct questions about exactly who it was that paid for the Oprah show, who it was that paid for the fish shows, exactly how the slicing technology worked that you could so into. Well, why don't see? When you obstruct my rights as a father, you're obstructing me from asking my own sons exactly what they know. And through that process, you're obstructing me from talking with some persons that do know. Ooch. Now, there was a president of China named Hu Jintao. Maybe you remember who he was. Then there was Wen Jiabo. Oh, he used to be the premier of China. And then there was a guy named Gang that was the director of the intelligence agency of China. Now, I've had to work through this whole technology issue. Yes. But once I'm able to talk to my sons, I'm going to talk to some other persons that for the last 7.5 years have had to allow for corporations to use their technology to obstruct the rights of citizens. You know, it's not just the $1 trillion in United States liability or the international communities allowing for the United States to refuse to enforce conventions, treaties, and agreements. Is that there are some persons from other nations that I'm going, how are you, Eric? Now, I want to know the 40 years of C-level employees of the 500 largest corporations of the world. And I just wanted to know, how much were you paying taxes the last 40 years? It's not that the United States, you, but maybe you forgot about some of the other lawsuits. Somebody thought exactly what corporations and private C-level employees have contributed to the shows that Heidi was making on Guam and in Guam County. And then how much money was paid to my relatives to obstruct my rights as a father? And where are all my assets that were going to be my inheritances? And why is it? Oh, police departments were paid to disbelieve the actual requirements of the law.